Well, good morning. Happy Tuesday. I don't know what day it is. It is October 14th. Happy October 14th. Beautiful day out this morning. There's not a cloud in the sky. It is completely clear, which tells me that this hurricane storm that came in is passed through. I was just looking at the weather and it said that there is a 2% chance of precipitation today. So, there's a few afternoon clouds and a little bit of chance of precipitation. Highs 82. So it should be a beautiful day. Winds are 10 to 15 miles an hour. And then tomorrow it's a 6% chance of precipitation. So, and the high is 79. So this week is fall. So enjoy fall. It's Tuesday through Friday. And then after that, it'll be very, very cold. Yeah. You know, we just have very, very short fall here in Vail. And my yard is completely wet. I look outside, the neighbor's wall is wet and the ground is wet. And my orange tree that's right here still has an orange on it. So I'm excited about that. It's still green. Hopefully sometime in the next 4 or 5 months, it'll turn into an orange and I'll taste it and I'll see. That's my first orange from that orange tree. And I'm very, very excited to see what it's going to taste like. Let's see. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful rain yesterday, but it's all done. Now the storm's passed and we will enjoy, I think probably over the next month, if you drive around southern Arizona, you will see absolutely beautiful green grass, flowers, all sorts of things until the cold sets in. And then, but highly recommend if you get an opportunity to just go and see a little bit of beautiful southern Arizona. We have no birthdays today, so nobody to mention on a birthday. I can close out the weather. I can close out the birthdays. I can close out that. All right, let's get into our study. This is an interesting, I don't know where to start on this. But we are in Numbers chapter 3. I may have said Leviticus yesterday. I don't know what I was thinking. Leviticus is not it. We are in Numbers chapter 3. But today we're going to talk about the Levites a little bit or a lot. I'm not entirely sure. So maybe I'll just start reading in chapter 3, verse 1. And this probably won't come up, so I'm going to have to just do a little bit of a thing here, right there. Okay, this is Numbers chapter 3. This is the account of the family of Aaron and Moses at the time the Lord spoke to Moses at Mount Sinai. The names of the sons of Aaron were Nadab, the firstborn, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. Those were the names of Aaron's sons, the anointed priests, who were ordained to serve as priests. Nadab and Abihu, however, died before the Lord when they made an offering with unauthorized fire before him in the desert of Sinai. They had no sons, so Eleazar and Ithamar served as priests during the lifetime of their father Aaron. All right, so let's just pause right there. So the tribe of Levi was the third born of Jacob, and they were living in the land of Canaan. And when the famine hit the land, Joseph ends up becoming Pharaoh's right-hand man, and then he calls for his family. He calls for his dad, Jacob, and his brothers, whom had tried to kill him, or at least put him into slavery, to come live with them in Egypt. But while they're in Egypt, many generations of pharaohs happened, and they put them into slavery. But at the time, Moses was in Egypt, Moses and his brother Aaron. So they're of the tribe. Well, where are Moses and Aaron in the tribe? Well, of the 12 tribes. We have here a list that kind of shows kind of how this all fits together. So you have Levi, he's the third son of Jacob. Then he ends up going into slavery in Egypt. He has 3 sons, of one of which is Kohath. Kohath has 4 sons, one of which is Amram, and he has 2 sons, Aaron and Moses. So they are of the tribe of Levi. Moses and Aaron both are the tribe of Levi. Nadab and Abihu are killed by God because of the fire thing. Eleazar and Ithamar serve in the temple. Aaron is also. So these are all of the tribe of Levi, the third born of Jacob. So when we think about Moses and Aaron, you also have to remember that they're Levites. They are of the Levite, the priestly class. And that's who they are. All right, so we already saw that the sons of Aaron were Nadab, the firstborn, and Abihu, and then the other 2 brothers were killed. All right, and then we'll continue reading in verse 5. The Lord said to Moses, "Bring the tribe of Levi and present them to Aaron, the priest, to assist him. They are to perform duties for him and for the whole community at the tent of meeting by doing the work of the tabernacle. They are to take care of all the furnishings of the tent of meeting, fulfilling the obligations of the Israelites by doing the work of the tabernacle. Give the Levites to Aaron and his sons. They are the Israelites who are to be given wholly to him. Appoint Aaron and his sons to serve as priests. Anyone else who approaches the sanctuary is to be put to death." So Aaron, let's go back to our little chart here. And we'll pull it up right here. Aaron, Moses' brother, is now to be kind of like the chief high priest. And he has 2 sons, Eleazar and Ithamar. But as you can see, from the tribe of Levi, he has uncles, and all of these people got married and have kids. So these aren't, Aaron and Moses aren't the only Levites. There's probably, I don't know. Well, actually, I think we do get numbers here of how many Levites there are. So we'll see how they stack up against the rest of the Israelites. But all of these uncles, all the people of the clan of Levi, they now report to or under the direction of Aaron. Aaron is the high priest, and he has 2 sons, Eleazar and Ithamar. But there's a whole bunch of other Levites that serve in the temple. And anybody else who wants to get close to the temple, if they even get close to it, they're put to death, which obviously is a very, very severe punishment for walking next to the temple. But remember, the Holy of Holies, there's only one person allowed to go in the Holy of Holies. I mean, this is where the Ark of the Covenant resides. This is where the presence of God is. And there's this separation between God and even the priests. There's that curtain. In the temple, there's a curtain. Well, and there's also a curtain in the tabernacle too. And this shows you the separation between where God's presence is and the rest of the people. Right. So those people are put to death. Let's continue reading. The Lord also said to Moses, "I have taken the Levites from among the Israelites in place of the first male offspring of every Israelite woman. The Levites are mine, for all the firstborn are mine. When I struck down all the firstborn in Egypt, I set apart for myself every firstborn in Israel, whether human or animal. They are to be mine. I am the Lord." So when God struck down the firstborn in Egypt, there was a cost to that. And the cost is that all the firstborns ever born in the Israelites would be handed over to God. The firstborns are mine. I have taken the Levites from among the Israelites in place of the first male offspring of every Israelite woman. So by right, all firstborn children born to any tribe of Israel belongs to God. But God, in his providence, says, I'm not going to take each firstborn from every woman. Instead, I'll take the whole entire tribe of Levite, and they'll be a substitutionary replacement for the firstborns of all of Israel. So this is how the Levites become the priestly class. All the Levite boys now serve God as one clan, and they redeem, if you will, all the other firstborns from all the other tribes. And there's a lot of parallel there between that and Jesus, who is the firstborn of all creation, who is the substitutionary priest for all of Christianity, all those who come after him. And that is back from Numbers chapter 3. All right, verse 14. The Lord said to Moses in the desert of Sinai, count the Levites by their families and clans. Count every male a month old or more. So Moses counted them as he was commanded by the word of the Lord. And these are the names of the sons of Levi: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. These were the names of the Gershonite clans: Libni and Shimei. The Kohathite clans: Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uziel. The Merarite clans: Mali and Mushi. These were the Levite clans according to their families. And so if we go back to our chart, we can see those people: Gershon, Kohath, Merari, Amram, Izhar, Hebron, Uziel. So there's kind of how the chart lays out, but this is where it's written in Scripture. And we'll continue reading. To Gershon belonged the clans of the Libnites and the Shimeites. These were the Gershonite clans. The number of all the males a month old or more who were counted was 7,500. The Gershonite clans were to camp on the west behind the tabernacle. The leader of the families of the Gershonites was Elisaph, son of Lael. At the tent of meeting, the Gershonites were responsible for the care of the tabernacle and the tent, its coverings, the curtain at the entrance to the tent of meeting, the curtains of the courtyard, the curtains at the entrance to the courtyard surrounding the tabernacle and altar, and the ropes and everything related to their use. So this is the Gershons, and they are behind the tabernacle, but they're in charge of it. So if it ever moves, they're the ones that take the tent, the covering, the curtain, the entrance, the tent of meeting, all of this stuff, they're responsible for. And they make sure it gets moved and set up again. That's what their role is. But there's more to the tabernacle than just the tent itself. To Kohath belong the clans of Amramites, Izharites, Hebronites, and Uzielites. These were the Kohathite clans. The numbers of all the males a month older was 8,600, so a little bit more. The Kohathites were responsible for the care of the sanctuary. The Kohathite clans were to camp on the south side of the tabernacle. The leader of the families of the Kohathite clans were Eliphan, son of Uziel. They were responsible for the care of the ark, the table, the lampstand, the altars, the articles of the sanctuary used in ministering, the curtain, and everything related to their use. The chief leader of the Levites was Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest. He was appointed over those who were responsible for the care of the sanctuary. So you have the care of the tent, and then you have the care of the sanctuary. And the sanctuary would be the ark. Imagine having the honor that you were the only people allowed to transport the ark. And if you'll remember, the Ark of the Covenant was a large box. How many cubits? I want to say it's like 6 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. And then it has these poles that go into loops on the side of it. And that's how they carry the ark from place to place. And they're not to drop it and break it. Inside the ark, you have manna. You have the tablets of the 10 Commandments. There's a couple other things in the ark. But these are all the things that are carried, and then they're put in the Holy of Holies. But also the table for the bread, the lampstand, the altars, everything, all that stuff is to be carried. And apparently, Eleazar, who's the son of Aaron, he is the one that kind of manages this family to make sure all that stuff gets moved. And they're on the south side. If you remember, the front of the tent is always facing east. Then there's the south side, and then there's the other sides. But they're on the south side. Okay. Verse 33, to Merari belonged the clans of Mahlites and the Mushites, and these were the Merarite clans. The number of all the males a month old or more were counted was 6,200. The leader of the families of the Merarite clans was Zuriel, son of Abihail, and they were to camp on the north side of the tabernacle. The Merarites were appointed to take care of the frames of the tabernacle, its crossbars, its posts, its bases, all its equipment, and everything related to their use, as well as to the posts of the surrounding courtyard with their bases, tents, pegs, and ropes. So they're in charge of the actual frame. If you build a house and you've got a frame, you take 2x4s and you nail them together, and then you put everything around that. But that's the frame. And this is this clan. They're on the north side of the tabernacle. And then we have one more set. Verse 38, let me bring this down a little bit. Moses and Aaron and his sons were to camp on the east side of the tabernacle, towards the sunrise, in front of the tent of meeting. They were responsible for the care of the sanctuary on behalf of the Israelites. Anyone else who approached the sanctuary was to be put to death. The total number of Levites counted at the Lord's command by Moses and Aaron, according to the clans, including every male a month or old, was 22,000. So there's 22,000 that were in charge of the sanctuary. And if you remember the size of some of the other clans, I pulled that chart up yesterday. It was more than that. So there's not as many Levites. Now, what is interesting in all of this is, what is God doing? God is assigning work to various people. He's assigning work to the Levites. He's saying to where all the other 12 tribes are to live. There's organization and structure around this entire assembly of Israelites. And the purpose of the organization and structure is that no matter where they go, there is order and structure in the community, even if they're living in a different location. If their GPS location is different, they still have order around the tabernacle, which is the center of the life of all the Israelites. There is benefit, huge benefit, in creating order and structure. Paul does the same thing. When he plants a church, he creates elders and deacons and typically an episcopi and a bishop. And this structure is very, very, very beneficial. And there are people who love to create structure and to organize and to make sure that the structure is followed. And there may be other people, it's like, well, this structure is arbitrary. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't matter. Structure is always good. If God has blessed you with creating structure, that's a huge blessing. Appoint people, place people, move people. It's like a chessboard, and moving everybody around. All that order is very, very, very beneficial. And it all comes from the heart of God, who creates structure around the sanctuary, around the tent of meeting. Structure is a good thing. It's a very, very, very good thing. And creating, even if it's not the perfect structure, even if it could be changed and it would be better, it is better to have structure than no structure at all. And we've known this throughout history, and God demonstrates it to the Israelites in all of this. Structure is a beautiful thing. Order is a beautiful thing. It helps people organize their life. You go into a business, and typically the owner or the manager of the business will have a structure. And even as he hires people, he will say, okay, you're going to be hired for this particular position and this structure. There are a million ways to structure any business, but having a structure, knowing where you fit in the structure is so helpful for mankind. Unless you're a person like me that hates order and structure, then it drives you nuts. But at least you know the purpose of it and the benefit and the beauty of structure. And it's not that I'm not against structure. I believe structure is very, very important. It's just that once you set up a structure, then you have to make sure people are enforced by the structure, enforced into the structure. And often what happens is once that structure is set, changing the structure is an act of God. It is in any organization. If you have a new manager or how do you call it, a CEO that comes to the organization, he says, okay, we're going to restructure the organization. Everybody's going to be upset. Everybody's going to be upset. The accountants are going to be upset. The HR people are going to be upset. The workers are going to be upset. The managers are going to be upset. Everybody's going to be upset, even if the whole purpose of changing the structure is to create a more efficient or a more timely organization. Everyone will be upset. So it is rare. It is truly rare to find somebody who's a CEO that comes in and modifies the structure because they know that the turmoil that will ensue. Every once in a while, you hear of a CEO that comes into a new organization and he'll restructure it, and these people will be laid off or fired or riffed or whatever, and all the organization. And it's going to take a year or two for everybody to operate under the new structure. And some will hate it, some will leave. There'll be nasty things written about that CEO. But the CEO, if he really believes that the new structure is going to be beneficial for the company, then he should do it, regardless of the change, because it is progress. It's moving. I remember, when I was at the Arizona Department of Transportation, this is a long time ago. A long time ago. It would have been 1988, 1989. There was, in one of the manager's rooms, it had you know how you have managers will have little sayings on their wall and things like that. And one of them was a quote that said something like, when the person who reorganizes creates a new structure, everybody's upset. I can't remember. I wish I knew what the quote was. And I've tried to find it over the years because it's so perfect. Because the quote was from like 600 BC or something like that. I mean, it was like, even at 600 BC, there was restructuring and reorganizing. This structure that God puts into place, though, doesn't need to be reorganized. This will carry the Israelites for 40 years until they get to the promised land and they actually build a temple. And then they will assign properties to all these tribes. They won't be gathered in a group of 12 around the temple, but they will be scattered throughout all of Israel, back then the ancient Near East. And that's where those tribes will live. And there's even order and structure in that too. Let's see, 22,000. The verse 40, the Lord said to Moses, count all the firstborn Israelite males who are a month or old or more, make a list of their names. Take the Levites for me in place of all the firstborns of the Israelites, and the livestock of the Levites in place of all the firstborn of the livestock of the Israelites. I am the Lord. So Moses counted all the firstborn of all the Israelites as the Lord commanded. The total number of firstborn males a month old or more listed by name was 22,273. Then the Lord said to Moses, take the Levites in place of all the firstborn of Israel, and the livestock, and the Levites in place of their livestock. The Levites are to be mine. I am the Lord. To redeem the 273 firstborn Israelites who exceed the number of the Levites, collect 5 shekels for each one, according to the sanctuary shekel. Each weighs 20 gerahs. Give the money for redemption of the additional Israelites to Aaron and his sons. So he counts the extra over the 22,000, and it's 273. He counts 5 shekels for each one, and he gives that kind of as a working money to the family. And then, so Moses collected the redemption money from those who exceeded the number redeemed by the Levites. From the firstborn of the Israelites, he collected silver weighing 1,365 shekels, according to the sanctuary shekel. Moses gave the redemption money to Aaron and his sons as he was commanded by the word of the Lord. Okay, and that finishes chapter 3. So basically, remember, there's this redemption that's happening. You have all the firstborns of all of Israel. And then you have how many Levites are serving as a replacement for those firstborns, because now they're in the tribe of Levi. Turns out there's an extra 273 of them. So God says, okay, we have more Levites than is necessary for the redemption. So we have to go collect 5 shekels from everybody to make it all equal. And so there's 273 is the difference. And you collect 5 shekels for each one. And then there's equity. And equity is important. I shouldn't say the adjustment is important to God. Everyone is accounted for. And if there's more than necessary, you collect 5 shekels for each one. All right. That takes us to the end of chapter 3. We'll do 4 tomorrow. And let's close in prayer. Gracious God, thank you for this day. Watch over us until we meet again. In Jesus' name, amen. And thank you, all of you. Wait. Oh, no. Oh, wait. Okay. So I got you. Yeah. All right. Gotcha. Well, I'm glad it worked. And so may God richly bless you, and we will see you tomorrow. God's blessings. Bye.